Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am MK Jabintaj. Today in this video I am giving you the knowledge about the third module of the subject design and analysis of algorithms for fourth sem CSC CBCS VTU students. I am dedicating this video to all the students all over the world. Now let us begin. Introduction to greedy method. Greedy method. The greedy method is the straightforward design technique applicable to variety of applications. The greedy approach suggests constructing a solution through a sequence of steps, each expanding a partially constructed solution obtained so far until a complete solution to the problem is reached. On each step, the choice made must be feasible. It has to satisfy the problem's constraints, locally optimal, that is it has to be best local choice among all feasible choices available on that step. Irrevocable, that is once made it cannot be changed on subsequent steps of the algorithm. As a rule, greedy algorithms are both intuitively appealing and simple. Given an optimization problem, it is usually easy to figure out how to proceed in a greedy manner, possibly after considering a few small instances of the problem. What is usually more difficult is to prove that a greedy algorithm yields an optimal solution. When it does, see the algorithm. Greedy method control abstraction for the subset paradigm. Now let us say coin change problem. Problem statement. Given coins of several denominations, find out a way to give a customer an amount with fewest number of coins. See the examples. If denominations are 1, 5, 10, 25 and 100. And the change required is 30. The solution is as follows. The last solution is the optimal one as it gives us change only with 2 coins. Solution for coin change problem using greedy algorithm is very intuitive and called as Cashier's algorithm. Basic algorithm is at every iteration for search of a coin, take the largest coin which can fit into remain amount to be changed at that particular time. At the end, you will have optimal solution. Now let us see knapsack problem. Let us try to apply the greedy method to solve the knapsack problem. We are given n objects and a knapsack or bag. Object I has a weight wi and the knapsack has a capacity m. If a fraction xi 0 is lesser than or equal to xi is lesser than or equal to 1 of object I is placed into the knapsack, then a profit of pi xi is earned. The objective is to obtain a filling of the knapsack that maximizes the total profit earned. Since the knapsack capacity is m, we require the total weight of the all chosen objects to be at most m. Formally, the problem can be stated as follows. The profits and weights are positive numbers. A feasible solution or filling is any set x1 to up to xn satisfying 4.2 and 4.3 above. A optimal solution is feasible solution for which 4.1 is maximized. See the example. Of these 4 feasible solutions, solution 1 yields the maximum profit. As we shall soon see, this solution is optimal for the given problem instance. There are several greedy methods to obtain the feasible solutions. First, at each step, fill the knapsack with the object with largest profit. If the object under consideration does not fit, then the fraction of it is included to fill the knapsack. This method does not result optimal solution. As per this method, the solution to the above problem is as follows. Second, at each step, fill the object with the smallest weight. This results third solution in the example 4.1. See, at each step, include the object with maximum profit or weight ratio. This results fourth solution in the example 4.1. This greedy approach always results optimal solution. Now let us see the algorithm given below assumes that the objects are sorted in non-increasing order of profit or weight ratio. Analysis. Disregarding the time to initially sort the object, each of the above strategies use big O of n time. 0 or 1 knapsack problem. 0 or 1 knapsack. Consider the knapsack problem discussed in this section. We add the requirement that xi is equal to 1 or xi is equal to 0. 1 is lesser than or equal to I is lesser than or equal to n. That is, an object is either included or not included into the knapsack. We wish to solve the problem. See the equations. One greedy strategy is to consider the objects in order of non-increasing density Pi divided Pi or Wi and add the object into the knapsack if it fits. Note, the greedy approach to solve this problem does not necessarily yield an optimal solution. Job sequencing with deadlines. We are given a set of n of jobs associated with job I is an integer deadline di is greater than or equal to 0 and a profit pi is greater than 0. For any of job I, the profit pi is earned if and only if the job is completed by its deadline. To complete a job, one class to process the job on a machine for 1 unit of time. Only one machine is available for processing jobs. A feasible solution for this problem is a subset J of the jobs such that each job in this subset can be completed by its deadline. The value of a feasible solution J is the sum of the profits of the jobs in J or sigma I belongs to J Pi. An optimal solution is a feasible solution with maximum value. Here again, since the problem involves the identification of a subset, if fits the subset paradigm. Example, see the example here. Solution 3 is optimal. In this solution, only job 1 and 4 are processed and the value is 127. These jobs must be processed in order job 4 followed by job 1. Thus, the processing of job 4 begins at time 0 and that of job 1 is completed at time 2. The greedy strategy to solve job sequencing problem is at each time select the job that satisfies the constraints and gives maximum profit, that is, consider the jobs in the non-decreasing order of the PIs. By solving this procedure, we get the third solution in the example 4.3. It can be proved that this greedy strategy always results optimal solution. See the algorithm. Algorithm or program 4.6 greedy algorithm for sequencing unit time jobs with deadlines and profits. See. Now let us see analysis. For JS, there are two possible parameters in terms of which its complexity can be measured. We can use n, the number of jobs, and s, the number of jobs included in the solution J. The while loop of the line 15 is the algorithm 4.6 is iterated at most k times. Each iteration takes theta of 1 time. If the conditional of line 16 is true, then lines 19 and 20 are executed. These lines require theta of k minus r time to insert job I. Hence, the total time for each iteration of the for loop of the line 10 is theta of k. This loop is iterated n minus 1 times. If s is the final value of k, that is, s is the number of jobs in the final solution, then the total time needed by algorithm JS is theta of Sn. Since s is less than or equal to n, the worst case time as a function of n alone is theta of n square. If we consider the job set Pi is equal to di is equal to n minus I plus 1, is less than or equal to I is less than or equal to n, then algorithm JS takes theta of n square time to determine j. Hence the worst case computing time for JS is theta of n square. In addition to the space needed for D, JS needs theta of s amount of space for j. Note that the profit values are not needed by JS. It is sufficient to know that Pi is greater than or equal to Pi plus 1. 1 is less than or equal to I is lesser than n. Now let us see fast job scheduling algorithm. The computing time of JS can be reduced from O of n square to nearly O of n by using the disjoint set union and find for algorithms and a different method to determine the feasibility of a partial solution. If J is a feasible subset of jobs, then we can determine the processing times for each of the jobs using the rule. If job I has not been assigned a processing time, then assign it to the slot alpha minus 1 comma alpha, where alpha is the largest integer or such that 1 is less than or equal to r is lesser than or equal to da, and the slot alpha minus 1 comma alpha is free. This rule simply delays the processing of job I as much as possible. Consequently, when j is being built up job by job, jobs already in j do not have to be moved from their assigned slots to accommodate the new job. If for the new job being considered there is no alpha as defined above, then it cannot be included in j. See the example 4.4. See the algorithm fast job scheduling. Now let us see analysis. The first algorithm appears as a FJS algorithm 4.7. Its computing time is readily observed to be O of n alpha of 2n comma n. Recall that alpha of 2n comma n is the inverse of Ackermann's function defined in this section 2.5. It needs an additional 2n words of space for f and p. Now let us see minimum cost spanning trees definition. A spanning tree of a connected graph is its connected acyclic subgraph, that is a tree that contains all the vertices of the graph. A minimum spanning tree of a weighted connected graph is its spanning tree of the smallest weight, where the weight of a tree is defined as the sum of weights on all its edges. The minimum spanning tree problem is the problem of finding a minimum spanning tree for a given weighted connected graph. See the figures. Now let us see Prim's algorithm. Prim's algorithm constructs a minimum spanning tree through a sequence of expanding subtrees. The initial subtree is such a sequence consists of a single vertex selected arbitrarily from the set V of the graph's vertices. On each iteration, it expands the current tree in the greedy manner by simply attaching to it the nearest vertex not in that tree. By the nearest vertex, we mean a vertex not in the tree connected to a vertex in the tree by an edge of the smallest weight. Ties can be broken arbitrarily. The algorithm stops after the graph's vertices have been included in the tree being constructed. Since the algorithm expands a tree by exactly one vertex on each of its iteration, the total number of such iterations is n-1, where n is the number of vertices in the graph. The tree generated by the algorithm is obtained as the set of edges. See the algorithm. Correctness. Prim's algorithm always yields a minimum spanning tree. See the example. An example of Prim's algorithm is shown below. The parenthesized labels of a vertex in the middle column indicate the nearest tree vertex and edge weight. Selected vertices and edges are shown in bold. Now let us see analysis of efficiency. The efficiency of Prim's algorithm depends on the data structures shown chosen from the graph itself, and for the priority q of set v minus vt whose vertex priorities are the distances to the nearest tree vertices. First, if the graph is represented by its weight matrix and the priority queue is implemented as an unordered array, the algorithm's running time will be in theta of modulus of v square. Indeed, on each of the modulus of v iterations, the array implementing the priority queue is traversed to find and delete the minimum and then to update if necessary the priorities of the remaining vertices. We can implement the priority queue as a min heap. A min heap is a complete binary tree in which every element is less than or equal to its children. Deletion of the smallest element from the insertion of a new element into a min heap of size n or O of log n operations. 2. If a graph is represented by its adjacency lists and the priority queue is implemented as a min heap, the running time of the algorithm is in O of modulus of E log modulus of V. This is because the algorithm performs modulus of E minus 1 deletions of the smallest element and makes modulus of E verifications and positive changes of the element's priority in a min heap of size not exceeding modulus of V. Each of these operations, as noted earlier, is a O of log of modulus of V operation. Hence, the running time of this implementation of Prim's algorithm is in, see the equation, because in a connected graph modulus of V minus 1 is lesser than or equal to modulus of E. Now let us see Kruskal's algorithm. Background. Kruskal's algorithm is another greedy algorithm for the minimum spanning tree problem that also always yields an optimal solution. It is named Kruskal's algorithm after Joseph Kruskal. Kruskal's algorithm looks at a minimum spanning tree for a weighted connected graph G is equal to V, E as an acyclic subgraph with modulus of V minus 1 edges for which the sum of the edge weight is the smallest. Consequently, the algorithm constructs a minimum spanning tree as an expanding sequence of a subgraph which are always cyclic but are not necessarily connected on the intermediate stages of the algorithm. Now let us see working. The algorithm begins by sorting the graph's edges in non-decreasing order of their weights. Then, starting with the empty subgraph, it scans this sorted list, adding the next edge on the list to the current subgraph if such an inclusion does not create a cycle, and simply skipping the edge otherwise. Now see the algorithm Kruskal of G. The fact that ET, the set of the edges composing a minimum spanning tree of the graph G, actually a tree in Prim's algorithm, but generally just an acyclic subgraph in Kruskal's algorithm. Kruskal's algorithm is not simpler, but it has to check whether the addition of the next edge to the edges already selected would create a cycle. We can consider the algorithm's operations as a progression through a series of forests containing all the vertices of a given graph and some of its edges. The initial forest consists of modulus of V trivial trees, each comprising a single vertex of the graph. The final forest consists of a single tree, which is the minimum spanning tree of the graph. On each iteration, the algorithm takes the next edge u, v from the sorted list of the graph's edges, finds the trees containing the vertices u and v, and if these trees are not the same, unites them in a larger tree by adding the edge u, v. Analysis of efficiency. The crucial check whether two vertices belong to the same tree can be found out using union find algorithms. Efficiency of Kruskal's algorithm is based on the time needed for sorting the edge weights of a given graph. Hence, with an efficient sorting algorithm, the time efficiency of Kruskal's algorithm will be in O of modulus of E log modulus of E.